Another year is drawing to a close as we say goodbye to 2022 and hello to 2023. And while this year largely reaffirms my faithlessness in society and humanity as a whole, video games were good this year, for the most part. So good, in fact, that I've made a list of some of my personal favorites to tell you guys. A best of 22 list to be exact. Here's my list of the top 5 games for the year 2022. For this list, I'm only including games that I have personally played or have beaten. 2022 provided us with a lot to play this year despite a handful of game delays. Also, this is my personal opinion. This is just for fun, and while I shouldn't have to say that, some motherfucker is going to take this shit way too far. Okay, that's all for the setup. Let's begin. Number 5. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Forgotten Land is a great ass game, and it's an even better Kirby game, which is important because the series is pretty consistent. At worst, you have games that are mid like OG Dreamland and Epic Yarn, and then you have some absolute bangers in there like Superstar and Crystal Shards. Where Forgotten Land ends up on the spectrum is a matter of personal opinion. As for me, I think this one will end up as a standout in the series. And if not this game, then certainly the next one, as Forgotten Realm definitely feels like a test run for what's to come, kinda like Bowser's Fury. Stuff like a hub world outside the main map and light crafting elements for ability upgrades are a nice change of pace. If there is one complaint though, is this. I don't really care for mouthful mode, and it's not just because of Vor, ha 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 Vor. It feels like there are other Kirby abilities that are in the game that could serve the same purpose as mouthful mode. It's not a deal breaker, it's just a small nitpick in an otherwise great game. Number 4. Sonic Frontiers. Sega finally did it. Sega finally hired that man. Sonic Frontiers has had a whirlwind of a time. What began as a vague series of trailers soon led to some gameplay footage. That gameplay footage left us with more questions than answers. Does Sonic feel fast? How vast is the overworld? Is it full of stuff or just dead? Are there a shit ton of friends this time? Frontiers is just one of those games where words and videos don't do it justice. To understand how it is, you just have to play it. But I'll try to describe it as best I can. The basic gameplay loop goes like this. You start on an island where you have to free your friend and deal with a giant boss that you can't battle until you get the Chaos Emeralds. In order to get them, you have to complete these mini levels to gain access to the items needed to unlock the emeralds. While all of this is going on, you collect tokens. I'm gonna call these tokens friend medallions, to get more cutscenes with the trapped friend, which eventually leads to the last emerald. Between all of this there are a bunch of random challenges that will reveal parts of the map as well as give you more of the same tokens and items. There's a lot to do on each island, so you won't get bored. And that's just the basic rundown. There's even more to do on these islands than what I've just explained here. The only downside is on the technical end. Sometimes the physics can't quite handle Sonic's speed, and I would occasionally launch myself in some random ass direction or a pit. Also, pop-in is an issue too, making it hard to find out just where one challenge ends and another begins. There's nothing a few patches can't iron out. That, and there's some DLC coming that looks pretty promising. I can't wait to see what's in store for this one. Number 3. Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Even though Crisis Core is easily the most recent game on this list, I'm confident in saying that my time with it has been highly enjoyable. I never played the PSP original, so I don't know the finer details of some of the changes to the original, outside of obvious stuff like the battle system, visuals, and the voice cast. In any case, anybody who's played FF7 Remake will feel right at home here. The combat and general UI are similar to Remake in just about every way. Obviously, while the visuals have been juiced up with Unreal Engine 3, the skeleton of the original is still there, for better or worse. Don't get me wrong, the game is still great, but it has a few minor quirks. For instance, the side missions aren't really that interesting. It generally has you going in the same 4 or 5 environments to gather items, usually by fighting a specific monster, which can get pretty repetitive. Hell, even the summons aren't immune, as I fought Ifrit on 3 separate occasions on one play session. The dialogue is very weird to say the least. It hasn't bothered me, since I feel that Soldier is an organization of weirdos, so I expect them to be awkward as fuck, so your mileage is going to vary on that one. It might not be as big or as hyped as FF7 Remake. It's a PSP remake after all, but I like the pacing of this better compared to Remake. Sometimes you don't want a sub with the works. Sometimes you just want a good ham sandwich, and that's okay. Honestly, I wish I'd played the original first just so I can appreciate Crisis Core Reunion more than I already do. Number 2. Sifu. Let this be known here. Sifu is the best action game of the year, and probably one of the best of this generation. Sifu is an action brawler focusing on hand-to-hand combat. It has a unique roguelike mechanic via its death system. Basically, if you die, you get revived, but you come back older each time, which is indicated by your pendant. There's a literal skill tree where you can use your experience points to buy new techniques, either partially or permanently, if you have the XP for it. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Some skills are only available to you at a certain age. If you die too much, you'll age yourself out of certain moves, and won't be able to acquire them unless you restart your run. Runs are also weird too, as there are 5 levels and your age carries over at the end of every level. So, say you beat level 1 at the starting age of 20, you start level 2 at 20. If you fuck up on level 2 and age up to 28, then you start level 3 at age 28. Fast forward and you fucked up a lot. Probably against Kuroki. You're on the final level and you're too old to complete it. You could go all the way back to level 3 at age 28 and try to beat it, and level 4 and get a better run with lower age to start with on level 5. It's decisions like this, in addition to the intuitive combat system, that makes the game so special. Button mashing will end your run quickly in this game. You have to pay attention to what your enemies are doing and the environment at all times. Only then can you become a true master of Sifu. Also, Sifu is not a fucking fighting game. Y'all gotta do better. Number 1. Elden Ring. I know, it's an obvious ass choice for Game of the Year, but I like what I like. I'm going to be brief on this one. There aren't a lot of new Elden Ring opinions out there, and some games are just going to click with a shit ton of people more than others, just due to the nature of gaming today. I've been gaming for a while, and there's some things that I missed out on just because of my tastes at the time. I missed out on many touchstones and hallmarks of gaming and gaming culture, and since I wasn't there, I can never truly grasp how big of a deal it was at the time. Yes, I know RE4 and FF7 are extremely popular, but I got to it late, and it won't hit me the same way as it did with everybody else. Trust me, I'm building to a point. I was on Elden Ring on day 1, sharing my experiences with others, learning about the lands between as we each took our own individual paths in order to become Elden Lord. Yes, some of the enemies can be difficult, some of the areas are fucking oppressive, the NPCs are vague and out of the way, and the story is as open as a whore in Mardi Gras with no definitive answers in sight. You mean to tell me that Marika and Radagon were the same person the whole time, but they're also separate entities? Like, bro, what the fuck does it mean? Also, where is the story DLC yet from Soft? I'm happy for the PvP bros, but us PvE bros can get some love too. Our wallets are ready, Miyazaki. So that was my list. There are several games that came out this year that I would have loved to include in this list, but time is at a premium these days, and I couldn't play everything that came out. I would like to do a video about the games that probably would have made it on this list if I had enough time to play it. Hopefully, if everything goes as planned, I'll have a video kind of like that out sometime next week, if everything all works out. Anyway, big thanks to anybody who's taken the time out to watch or comment on any video that's come out on this channel. Hope you guys have a happy and safe new year, and I'll see you guys in 2023.